Hi everybody, it's Lavinia. Welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I am going to show you how to make this foam pillow. This is the one that I've donated to the hashtag bingo with us on January 1st. We had that pajama party, so I am going to show you how to make that. And I'm using here one piece of fabric. It measures about 5.5 by 13 inches. So this is for the main body. I have my seam ripper in case I need that. Tailor's chalk just for marking. I am also, have some pins. Sometimes I use these clips rather than pins, so I have those at the ready. I have my iron, my quilter's cut and press. I also have for the filling. You can pretty much use what you have. I just happen to have this Pellon Perfect Loft 100% polyester cluster fiber fill, so that's what I'm going to be using. I am also going to be using these plastic pellets, which will be going here in this little chamber. This little channel here. You can use rice, you can still use the fiber fill, you can use beans. I think I've heard of some people put pebbles in there. I just use the plastic. It gives it a little bit of weight and it is washable. So the pellets that I'm using just happen to be this. I think I bought it a few years back from Michael's. So just says weighted stuffing material for toys, dolls, and crafts. And it is washable. So again, that's made of plastic. Some other tools that I have are my little funnel and a little scoop to put those plastic pellets in. If you don't have a funnel, you can just take a piece of paper, roll that around into a funnel. So again, my iron, my ruler, my cutting mat, and so here's the fabric. And I also have in my sewing machine, just to sort of match up, it's just a light pink thread. So, but you use whatever coordinates with whatever you have. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is take the fabric and fold it in half with the right sides or the pretty sides together. So we're going to do that, and you can either clip or pin it. However, we are going to leave a 1-inch opening here where the fold is. So not from the top, we're leaving a 1-inch opening here, and that's where this channel is. So that's why we're leaving that opening. So let's go ahead and clip or pin that, leave that 1-inch opening, and I'll show you what I do there. All right, so I clipped it around. So this is the bottom or where the fold is, and this is where it's open. So again, pretty sides together. I just have it here on my cutter's mat, and I am going to use this tailor's chalk just to mark off that 1 inch. So I'm just taking a ruler here, so it's lined up. Taking this ruler here. And I'm just going to draw across it with this tailor's chalk. Now, of course, you can use a pencil if you'd like to, or one of those invisible or sewing markers that will then either come off with the iron or in the wash. This is on the other side, on the, not the right side, but I will be using it also on the right side. So I'm just using this tailor's chalk for now. So as you can see, hopefully, here's that faint line. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and what I'm going to do is stitch along the whole entire side of one side of the bag or the pillowcase or pillow foam pillow, and on this side I'm going to start from here and sew down. So I'm only leaving the opening on one side of the pillow. All right, so let's go to the sewing machine. So I have my stitch setting at 2, and my needle is right here at the center. I like using the seam gauge. So we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance down. So this is where the fold is. That's where I like to start. And then when I get here to the edge, I would just like to back stitch a little bit. So we're sort of creating a bag with a hole at the bottom. So here's my pinkish thread. And just want to get that all set up. So let's see. So I'm not going to backstitch here because again, it is at the bottom of the foam pillow. And I'm just going to go ahead and just sew on there. Here I will backstitch. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and start doing that on the other side. Okay, I realized I was yakking away that I didn't actually have the gauge close to the foot. So I am actually, that's what we have the seam rippers for, right? So I'm actually going to go ahead and take this out and then just re-sew it down with this close to the foot. Now I'm at the other side. And so here's my tailor's chalk line, and I'm trying to make sure that the needle goes down there. I am going to do just a slight back stitch. I'm pulling on these threads here, trying not to have it form any kind of nest. And let's see here. So actually, so again, it's just a 1/4 inch seam allowance, just a couple little back stitch. And then just on down. And just a slight little back stitch there. And then we'll cut this thread. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this inside out. Let me turn off the machine, give you a little bit more space here to see. So I'm going to turn this inside out, or right side. And what I'm going to do is poke out the corners. Now in one of these you will have that hole. So here's the hole. And this one here is sewn. So I'm going to take it now to the sewing machine, and so where this hole is, I'm just going to poke it in just a little bit. So I'm going to sew that down. I am also going to take the edges here where the pillow, foam pillow is open, and just tuck it in just slightly, just so that when it gets sewn together, you don't have these little frayed edges here, but just some nice tucked in edges there. So let's go to the ironing board. All right, so here we are. So this is where the hole is. So I just tucked it in. Just have it match up that. And I'm just going to, just ever so slightly, just tuck in these edges here and press those down. And here too, I'm going to just flatten out these edges here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we will go on to the next step. So everything has been pressed, might be about 1/4 inch, just tucked in there. So now the next step is we're going to sew down this channel for where we put the pellets in. All right, so I'm going to use my tailor's chalk to measure 1 inch from the folded bottom, so not from the top, again from where this bottom folded edge is. So just going to put it here, get that edge, get my ruler, measure it 1 inch, and here I'm going to use that tailor's chalk and just measure that inch. Because we're going to sew across this tailor's chalk, and I am going to backstitch slightly at both ends. All right, so there's the tailor's chalk, and let's take it to the sewing machine. So I have my needle lined up here, just have my seam gauge here, pulling on my thread. I'm going to just slightly go down first. This is just how I prefer to do it. Whoops. and just bring a couple, and then I'm just going to backstitch a little bit and then just bring it down that line. When I get here towards the edge, I'm going to do a slight little backstitch. Just cut these threads off. So this is the channel where you're going to have the pellets or the fiber fill or whatever it is that you choose to fill in there. And next thing we're going to do is go back to measure now 1/2 inch from this sewn line. So you're measuring a 1/2 inch up. This is what's giving the, oops, this little channel here. So this is that 1 inch where the fiber fill or the pellets are going to go, and now you're measuring 1/2 inch just to get this flat area where your phone is going to go. So let's go ahead and measure 1/2 inch. So I have the stitch line here, and I'm just measuring a 1/2 inch up. So I'm going to take my ruler and do that. And I guess this would be the time just to mention that if you would like to win this phone pillow, I'm going to give you the word to put in the comment section, but you have to be a public subscriber to my channel, which means that I have to be able to see that you are subscribed to my channel. You have to, of course, be 18 years of age or older, and you have to live within the United States. I'm sorry, just for postage. This isn't not sponsored by anybody, by YouTube or anything, but just something I would like to give to my subscribers. And in the comment section, you have to put the word butterfly. So here's now a 1/2 inch from this stitch line. So we're going to go ahead and go again to the sewing machine and sew that line. So again, in the comment section, butterfly and all those other 18 years of age or older and a public subscriber to my channel. So again, I'm pulling taut on the strings, have my needle lined up with this tailor's chalk line, and going to do a slight back stitch. And then just straight on down the line. And when we get to the edge, again, just another slight back stitch. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is fill the body of the phone pillow. Now if you wanted to use pellets or rice with the mixture of fiber fill, you can do that as well. I am just using the fiber fill, and what you want to do is make sure that this is how the foam pillow is laying flat before it's stuffed, that you're actually going to form it as a triangle this way. And when you stuff it, it will actually naturally take on this form, but you do want to make sure that it's formed like that. And let's go ahead and start stuffing it. And you probably want to stuff it, nicely, because you do want it to give that support to your phone. And I always like to make sure that I get these corners here as well. So whether you use a chopstick or your fingers, just making sure that I get those corners there. So as you can see, it's starting to take that shape even when you put the fiber fill in it. So I don't think you really can go wrong with it, but you just want to make sure that it's not straight across, but that it is forming that triangle that way. Let's see. And once I have it stuffed as much as I think I would like it, I'm going to go ahead and start clipping it. So here where the edges are, I do want to make sure that at least those two seams here, where these edges are, match. So I like to use these binder clips. You can use pins, of course, whatever you have on hand. So this might be a time where maybe you take your phone, even though this isn't filled yet, maybe just to take a look and see. All right. Oh, and I do like how this butterfly is right there in the center. When you flip it over, you'll have these butterflies looking this way. What did I just say? Butterfly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see how with these edges here turned in, how nice that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and just clip it, and then we're going to take it to the sewing machine and sew this closed. Okay, and as you're sewing, you may need to just push this down depending on what type of sewing machine you have so it doesn't hit up here. I did move my needle just a little bit over. It's on number 2. This is a Brother Strong and Tough. I just wanted a little bit closer just to make sure that it catches the inside of that. So again, going to pull on the strings here to avoid, hoping you can see, to avoid like that nesting. And just going to do a couple of stitches first. I am going to back stitch. Okay. And then as I move forward, I'm going to be removing these clips here. Okay. And naturally, if you have pins, you'll be removing the pins. Pressing down along here as I go, and keeping it just as straight as possible. And then when I get here to the edge, again, I'm going to do a back stitch. And so that portion's done there. Trim this off here. So as you can see, that's done here. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fill this channel with the pellets. Or again, you can use fiber fill. If you're using fiber fill, I would recommend maybe using a chopstick or a wooden stick or something to make sure that the fiber fill goes all the way down. But I'm going to fill this with the pellets. So I have my funnel ready and my scoop of pellets, and I don't want to fill this all the way to the top because I am going to place a pin and I am going to sew that. I'm going to use the sewing machine. Now, of course, if you want to use a ladder stitch or hand sew it, by all means, go ahead and do that. But I'm just going to put some in here and then just work it down into this chamber here. Whoops. Okay. So I'm just going to see if, I think that should be good because I can press it down, still pin it, and sew it. All right, so let me go ahead and do that and we'll be back at the sewing machine. I'm going to be using a pin to pin and make sure that those pellets don't come up any further while I'm sewing, and just going to do a little back stitch and then sew it on down. So what I'm trying to do here is just try to line up where this channel first starts, where the opening is, with the needle. Again, I'm just going to do a couple of stitches this way, paying attention, of course, to the needle here that I don't go over, or to the pin there, and just do a couple. Let me see if I can move this over. A couple little back stitches, and again, just forward again, paying attention to this pin here. Okay, I think I'm going to take this pin and then back stitch. So make sure that none of those little pellets ever come out. So that is it. Trim these threads, and we are done with this. So let's place our other phone on here and take a look. So this is how one side looks with these butterflies. Look at that, even on the side heading down that way. Let's see. So here, for example, if you want to place it up or down, this is usually how I watch my videos. Leave it if I'm watching videos or listening to my audiobooks or charging my phone. And then this is the other side. So look how pretty that butterfly is right there in the center, and then these other two as well. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I hope you like, share, and subscribe. And again, if you'd like to win this, I hope you watched the entire video and found out what you need to do. All right, everyone, take care. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening. Bye.